Hey everybody, Bigfoot Videos here. So I was gonna do some cooking today. It's almost lunch, and I wanted to do some meal prep. And so I was gonna do a whole video on what I do, how I do it, a little bit of the prep I've done prior to this point, and just something that I think would be real helpful for you on how to cook some chicken breast, real clean and real tasty. So stay tuned. Don't click away from this video. You will learn something for sure. So I'm just going to be kind of coming and going, and I'll probably cut some of this here and there for some shorts and some shorter videos, and then I'll post this long format as well. I also will be recording some close-up shots today for some of my other angles, so that you can really get a good up close and personal view of exactly what I'm doing. So I'm going to go grab my chicken. I'm going to wash my hands, grab my chicken, and then get started. So I'll talk a little bit while I'm off camera. What I've done to this point is I usually will brine. I'll do a healthy brine, a lean brine, a brine that doesn't have sugars in it or anything like that. And I usually do it in batches of 5 to 10 pounds since I'm, prepping for me and my wife, and some of the kids will eat these as well. And so 10 pounds for just me and my wife gets us basically a week, give or take. But today I'm just doing 5 pounds, but none of the numbers will change. I actually do my numbers, my brining numbers in increments of, in sizes of 5. So go grab that chicken. And so what I do is I actually brine the chicken. I've got it to where I brine it for 24 hours. You can do it longer. You can do it shorter, but I think that that's the sweet spot. And so I brine this so for every 5 pounds, I will use approximately a half a cup of salt. I don't have any clean half a cups, but I'll do a half a cup of salt per 5 pounds. That's what I do. You can go up, you can go down from that, depending on how salty you like it, depending on how long you're brining it. But I found that about half a cup of iodized salt, or sea salt if you wanted to use that, is great for brining 5 pounds worth of chicken breast, a boneless, skinless chicken breast. And I do buy fresh chicken because it's actually cheaper where I'm at than frozen boneless, skinless chicken. So 5 pounds, half a cup of salt. For every 5 pounds, I will put 4 quarts of water. So you can, again, fine tune that to yourself, 4 to 5 quarts of water, but I use 4 quarts of water for every 5 pounds of chicken, and I do a half a cup of salt. And I make sure to mix my salt up in the bowl of water before I put my chicken in, so it's fully dissolved. Otherwise, it won't really fully dissolve. And then I like to put in 1 lemon zest. So I just take 1 lemon, and I just kind of get my zester, or whatever you call it, tool, that rasp off the zest off the outer part of the lemon peel, and I'll do a whole lemon per 5 pounds. So obviously, if you're doing more, you just crunch the numbers accordingly. But for every 5 pounds, I do 1 lemon zest, 1 lemon, and I get all the lemon peel zest off of it. Half a cup of salt, 4 cups of water, and I let that brine for 24 hours in a bowl that I've covered with foil. I let it brine in the refrigerator, of course. After that, it's brined. I will drain off the water. I will dry the chicken off with a rag, and then I will put it in a container like this if I'm not ready to cook it right away. But if I'm ready to cook right away, I'll just cook it. I actually brined 15 pounds worth of chicken a few days ago, and me and my wife and my son went through some meals a little quicker than I thought. So I'm going to be cooking this chicken up. So that's what I've done to this point. And now I'm going to go over my spices, and then I'll show you my process. So all of this actually takes without videoing it and being distracted by that. I mean, I can get my chicken out that's brined, heat up my skillets, preheat my oven, cook my chicken, and I'll go over this in detail. But I can get this chicken cooked in about 35 minutes. That includes cook time. So I mean, it's like a 10-minute prep time at most, where you're actually standing here doing something. So I like that about this process because it's easy and it's quick, and it really is very tasty. So I like to use basically it's like a Southwest seasoning. I will use you can mix this up as big of a batch as you want to, but I'll do 2 tablespoons of chili powder. And then I will do 1 tablespoon of the rest of these. 1 tablespoon of ground cumin. I will do 1 tablespoon of oregano leaves. 1 tablespoon of garlic powder or ground garlic. And 1 tablespoon of onion powder. So real easy. It's 2 tablespoons of chili powder, and the rest is just 1 tablespoon of each. So you don't have to worry about getting confused with your teaspoons and tablespoons. You just use your tablespoon, and that's it on the seasoning. So that I've actually mixed this up in big batches since I cook so much of it. You don't actually have to use a whole lot of this when you season your chicken, because it's already got good flavor. It's brine, so it's gonna, if you cook it right, on top of brining it, it will hold its flavor and moisture in. So you're going to seal that chicken. You're going to seal all the good stuff in it. But I will mix up those ratios in larger quantities and make one of these. So that way I don't have to mix up my seasoning every single time. But we've been using this seasoning for easily 6 months now, and we still like it. We're not tired of it. And we eat these meals, like I said, we prep them and we eat them probably 80% of the time. This is what we eat, along with like a piece of fruit, or something like that, and some peanut butter or a little bit of extra olive oil or something like that. So that said, that's the seasoning mixture. And I do, when I'm cooking this, I'll go over it with you. I just sprinkle a little bit on both sides of the chicken and just kind of lightly cover it. And again, that's to taste, but there's not a whole lot to this. So about that, I'm going to get into the oven. So I'm going to preheat the oven to 425. You can use a convection oven or regular bake, but 425 for the oven. And once the chicken goes into the oven, you will you'll cook it to temp. It usually ends up being about 25 to 30 minutes, depending on how big the chicken breast is, how large it is. But I will cook it to temp. I'll cook it to 160 and then and I'll pull it out of the oven, and it'll continue to cook outside the oven. And you need to get it to at least 165 internal temp. And mine usually ends up getting up to around 170-ish. Not a big deal, but you want to make for sure that you hit that 160 on your largest chicken breast. I try to cook the same size chicken breast, but that doesn't always happen. So today I think it's actually a smaller batch of chicken breast because I cooked all the big ones in my last batch. So while that's preheating the oven, I will get I think I'm going to have to use 2, 3, 5, 6. I'm going to have to use I'll just use this one. I'm going to have to use 2 skillets on this one, and I will, you'll see all this on the other camera shots. Like I said, I don't overcomplicate this at all. So I'm going to get my skillets heating up. I will heat them up to about on a medium high to high temp, so I can get them hot pretty quick. It just kind of depends on the burner size to how big the pan is, on what heat I choose. If it's a big pan and a big burner, usually I do medium high, so that I can control the actual temperature that the pan's getting hit. So But I always, my skillets are seasoned. Never wash them with soap. Wash them with scalding hot water. Wipe them down, dry them off. Immediately put about a teaspoon of olive oil, not extra virgin olive oil, but regular olive oil in the pan to continue to keep that seasoned, keep all that good flavors in the pan, keep it from rusting, keep that good stuff from flaking off, that coating that ends up building up on your pan. But I heat these up to where they start kind of smoking a little bit, and that's when they start to smoke. It usually takes about 2 to 3 minutes. That's when it's ready for the chicken to be put on there. And so what I'll do is I'll spray the pan down with I've got a can of olive oil that it's like a pump bottle that I can pressurize, and I will spray down into the pan. And again, it's olive oil. It's not extra virgin olive oil. I don't cook this recipe with extra virgin. It's regular olive oil. So I pump this up 15, 20 times so you feel a little resistance. I don't spray any new olive oil on the pan until it's smoking. So once it kind of gets to smoking a little bit, then I will spray some olive oil down, and then I'm ready to put my chicken down. I always burn the top side of my chicken first so that when I'm cooking it, it's top side up. I think it looks prettier. I think it looks better. And it just seems like it just feels right. So, but it doesn't matter how you do that. But I oil the pan. I'll put my chickens on there. I will let them sear for about 1 minute on each side. And so while I don't put any seasoning on yet. I let the top sear first. While the top is searing with the top down, I will actually olive oil the bottom side of the chicken, and then I will season the underside of the chicken while that top layer is actually cooking. And then by then a minute's gone by, and I'll flip it, and then I'll olive oil the top of it just lightly. I don't want to add too much olive oil, and then I will do the same thing on the top, and that really is what makes it look nice. So that's pretty much it for the searing of the pan, or the searing of the chicken. Once it's seared on both sides, a minute per side, you just stick it in. Make sure you put your thermometer in to check your internal temp while it's cooking. As soon as it hits 160, take it out, let it cook in the pan until it hits 165, and then you're free to take the chicken out of the pan to let it really cool down quicker. I usually just leave mine in to cook, and I'll just let it get up to 170 just because I don't mind. It tastes fine. So I set my temperature gauge. I actually got this from, I think, Home Depot, but it's wireless. So if I'm using it on the grill or something, no big deal. But right now I can just leave it right here as is. So both my pans are smoking. So I'm going to just hit it so nothing sticks. Yeah, this is gonna be good. I got it going real good here. And so then I just start throwing these bad boys on there. I'm gonna put my smaller ones in this small pan over here. My thinner chickens. So, and then I'll just hit my cook timer. 100. Start. Well, I got a new microwave, so I can't figure a timer. So no big deal. Not that picky to be going for 1 minute. Just about the amount of time it will take you to hit this chicken with some olive oil, and just about the amount of time that it takes to sprinkle a little bit of this mixture that I mentioned earlier, the seasoning. And I just, like I said, I just coat it. You kind of get a feel for it after you've done it several times. The Southwest has got some chili powder in it, like I said, so it's not spicy to me. It might be spicy to some, um, but I like the flavor that it has. So you can hear my timer going off. Get my tongs out. I like to use my metal tongs since it's so hot. And I just start with the first chicken that I lay down. And that looks so good. You're just looking for it to turn white. I like to get a little bit of char on it. A little bit of crisp to it. And then you're done with your tongs at that point. Unless you just want to use them later. And my oven's almost done preheating. You need to preheat your oven a little bit sooner before you start cooking with your pans, because it's a little bit longer than what it takes to preheat these pans and get everything cooked. So I'll let those cook for about 30 more seconds, roughly. I'll go ahead and put my temperature gauge in here. Try to get into the fattiest part of in the middle of the fattiest part of the thickest part of the chicken. Roughly. Usually by now the internal temp has gotten to around 50 degrees. And I oiled the top of the chicken, but I forgot to season it. So make sure you season it. Wouldn't be that big a deal if you forgot, because you can season it later. But I just really like the flavor that it gets once some of the juices come out, and once some of that olive oil it kind of mixes together. There will be a few juices in there. It just gives it all a really good flavor. So that's pretty much it. So, and the main reason that I actually put a little olive oil on the top of these is because I don't want the top of the chicken to get too dry in the oven. So that's the main reason I do that, because it's not going to stick to anything. So basically, I will set a timer for 25 minutes. And I mainly do that because I know it takes about 25 minutes depending on the thickness of the chicken. But I do that mainly as a backup plan in case my temperature gauge ever screws up and or it dies or something like that. Just a backup plan to make sure I don't lose time on it. So that's it. If you have any questions about that, I don't think I've forgotten anything. If I have, I'll add it onto this video later when I'm editing. But if you have any questions, make sure to leave them down in the comment section, and or direct message me if you can do that. I can't remember if you can on YouTube. Happy to talk with you more about it. And other than that, make sure to subscribe if you have found value out of this, or you want to see some more stuff like this. And just make sure to hit a like as well. That always helps out as well. So anyhow, everybody have a great day, and until next time.